Good afternoon, YouTube. We're just out here today on this semi-chilly, disgustingly cold day. But, is it Wednesday? Wednesday or Monday? Monday we had 70 degrees. The next day, 30. Wonderful swings we have here in Minnesota. But, truck's out here looking good as always. Went through a cheap wash. Expensive, but it was kind of cheap. Didn't get as clean as other car washes that are cheaper and less effective, I thought. So it's one of them things. You don't always get what you pay for. But anyway, so just figured I'd show you my latest purchase. Now this is 1984 Thundercraft 160. It has a 60 horse Mercury outboard, obviously. Well, for those that don't know, it's an outboard. If it's an inboard, the motor's inside the boat, not mounted on the back. That makes it an outboard with it being on the back. But came with the trailer. I had put new tires on it before we even left because they were a little less than desirable for the speeds I like to go. So, just to be safe than sorry, I just got done throwing tools over here. Putting trailer lights on. I had to run all new wiring. Last night we picked up the boat, the trailer, and the lights didn't work whatsoever. Not one of them. There's only 4 lights on this thing. But, yeah, no worky. So, it had a 4-pin on it, connector, for those that are curious or whatever. Just extra facts. Anyway, got it back to the house. I had already picked up a new light kit because that was something I knew needed to be done. I didn't know if they worked. I just was like, this needs updating. It just, they had to have been original, and they looked like absolute shit. They were electrical taped around the brackets, so that was beyond less than desirable. So, yeah, all this is all new. New lights, new wires, run all the way. And when I was running, I tried to use the old wire, came up here, cut the connector off, and taped the new wire around the old wire and tried to pull it all the way through. Well, wire broke halfway over here. Didn't even get the wire all the way down the tongue before it freaking broke. Gotta be kidding. I mean, it had to have been disconnected from the get-go. The one side of it, because, there's, it's brown and blue on this side, or brown and green. And I think it was the brown that was already disconnected, had broken somewhere in here. But the whole thing is they used Scotch locks to assemble the wiring. And I know that's a common practice with trailer wiring. I hate it. Moisture. It just corrodes the wire. It corrodes the connection. And especially on a boat trailer that goes in the lake. The whole trailer, well, not the whole trailer, but most of the trailer goes in the lake when you're launching a boat. I mean, the water has to be up on the boat before the boat can float off the trailer, right? Yeah, so whole freaking trailer's underwater. Let's use some Scotch locks. That sounds like a great idea, right? Introduces water to bare copper connections inside the Scotch locks, and next thing you know, a few years down the road, your wires are falling apart relentless. So anyway, I hate Scotch locks for that reason. I used to love them because it was such a quick and easy thing, but I figured out how to solder. Next thing you know, solder's the next best freaking thing because I got the heat shrink with the glue in it and all that stuff. So anyway, all new wire. I put a 7-pin on it because most vehicles come with 7-pin connectors right off the bat. Very few of them, I shouldn't say that. A lot of the newer trucks have the dual 7 and 4-pin sides, but older trucks mainly only had 7-pin. That's what was originally there. So I like to just throw 7 pins on that way. Ah, crap, I forgot the connector to do 7-pin to 4-pin, or 7-pin to 5-pin, whatever. That's a whole different thing. Okay, 7 to 4-pin. But anyway, no need for that anymore. And the wires are a little bit short yet. I got to kind of tug them up through the frame so I have some slack while turning. But and I got to wire loom it, all that stuff. I literally just got done making sure everything worked right because I'm going off of what the sheet for the brake lights, like the wiring and all that, the colors and where like the plug I got has the colors labeled inside the plug. So I was matching that up, going, oh, this should work, right? Nope. So everything was backwards. As soon as I turned on the parking lights, I was blowing the parking light fuse, and the lights were flashing, but all the lights were flashing. The markers, they aren't supposed to flash. That's not the way I wired them up, and they weren't very bright while they were flashing. So everything other than the ground was messed up. So, and I hardwire my ground. I don't like doing ground to chassis because it's a rustier trailer. Trying to get good connection through rust, it just is a pain in the ass. Not to mention, a lot of the new tail lights, they want you to ground to like the bracket or the screws for the tail light. Well, that's all fine and dandy, but for something that goes in the water, I don't want it grounded to a surface. I want it grounded to a wire that's sealed through the gluey heat shrink stuff. So that should hopefully be pretty well waterproof. It's a hell of a lot better than Scotch locks. It's a hell of a lot better than an open exposed ground. So I hardwire the ground. That's what my 2 red wires are here. They're ground for each side of the trailer. Everything's been soldered together. I see my little brush for the paste, for solder paste. But anyway, so trailer wiring aside, I guess I'll take you through a tour. Now, I bought this boat knowing it needed a little bit of work, and a little bit meaning a lot of cleaning. A lot of cleaning. That's not even a problem for me. I'm an automotive detailer. This is nothing to me. I always can see the diamond in the rough, knowing what I'm getting into, because I've done this before. Not on a boat, but getting tough stuff clean. And this isn't even going to be that tough. This is pretty well surfaced dirt, so I might have to do a little light scrubbing with a soft brush. But even came with the top. I just put that on. Don't think I'll ever be using it because you have like zero headroom. But they said, the guy's like, I think these are the ugliest seats I've ever seen, and I'm like, well, they look kind of plush, and surprisingly the material isn't instantly pop and crack and dried up nastiness. So that's nice. I'm sure the more I use it, the more they'll do that. These ones are kind of like that. These ones are pretty hard. But who the hell's going to sit here, really? And this, I brought the trailer home from Dad's this morning, and this was attached and all nice and neat looking, but the wood behind it's rotten, so it decided to let loose. But not even a problem. Maybe I'll just delete that panel, who knows. But for the most part, I'd say most of it's in pretty decent condition. There's no real rips or tears. There's cracks, but no real rips or tears. So let's do some serious cleaning with the pressure washer and some light scrubbing, and hopefully we can get this puppy right back up in sanitary kind of conditions. But we also get to do some get to do some wiring. Helps if you don't whack your arm on this guy. But it looks like everybody and their brother's been in here doing all sorts of different kind of wiring, so I get to figure that out. First thing I'm going to do, though, is figure out which wires go to the tilt motor, and we're going to get that working again, hopefully, because it's got power trim, and it did not work when I bought it. It worked when he bought it, which was roughly 2 years ago, he said. But he made sure it worked. He hooked the battery up, and it worked. But we put a battery in it, and the thing starts. Well, it doesn't. We had to bottle feed it, so it started with bottle feeding. It obviously cranked with the key, which is in the truck. So, but the steering linkage was supposedly frozen. I haven't messed with it. I'm not gonna. It may have broken. I don't know. He had disconnected it, but he gave me a new linkage. Well, not new, but it's better condition, I guess. It's the whole steering dash part with the cable, so I get to figure out how to do that. But you can see the wheels. They're pretty... This one's not so bad, but that one, bleh, And one of them had some cracking inside the tread, and I was like, yeah, no, not gonna do it. So this one, yeah, you just see one crack, but where I was looking, when I looked at the boat, I was like, yeah, that's a lot of cracking. Yeah, we're not doing that. So one of these will become the new spare tire, because the spare tire has been used a little bit and it's flat, but you can see all the cracking around the rim. But flat tire, so have to clean up the rim and on one of the ones we're going to use and stick up there. But yeah, so I got tires on sale with the rims, so that was nice. I have to get them balanced. I'm telling you, anytime I get a trailer, and it's just with this truck that I've noticed, I get a trailer with tires that are out of balance, I can feel it in the truck, in the steering wheel of all things. And I've had a U-Haul car dolly behind the truck with a car on it. Holy Hannah, you'd swear the front end of the truck was ready to drop out. It was pathetic how bad the steering wheel was shaking. And I'm like, it wasn't doing that on the way down here. Why is it doing it now? And I disconnected the trailer, like nothing ever happened. Smooth sailing. So I just came to the conclusion that it's the tires on the trailer shaking the truck, which somehow goes right to the steering wheel. So funny that, but we're going to get these tires all balanced and should be smooth sailing from there. But just have an automotive battery I'm going to stick in it. Got some terminals that should hopefully work. I had picked up some dust covers for the axles because I'm missing one on the passenger side. But I guess I thought they'd all be like a universal size pretty much for the hub, but no. So I got ones that are too small. So I'll have to see if I can exchange those, although I think these were the only ones I saw, which are inch and 1 to 1 1/16. I'll have to measure this. Maybe I just got to cram it over, who knows, but I could fit this cap inside that cap. So yeah. The top does have a broken piece of aluminum. I'll have to find someone that can weld aluminum and see if maybe we can't reattach that. But like I said, I don't know that I'll ever really be using the top. It just looks a little weird, and I just don't know what to think of it really. But the fact that it was all there, it didn't rip, didn't tear, it's just dirtier than all get out. So, but so is the whole boat. It's been sitting under a tree, uncovered, for how long? You should have seen all the leaves in here. I mean, most of them blew out going down the road. So, but we gotta really do some cleaning up on the wiring because it is fugly. Oh lordy. But yeah, I just figured I'd get a nice boat for maybe some fishing or something. Came with some free crap. This one, the screws came out of the board. But Dad's watching a video on YouTube right now on how to redo boat seats. I'm like, oh good, I'll let you do all the artsy stuff. But came with some free crap, I guess you want to call it that. But it'll get the job done. We'll there's one soft spot in the floor, and that's pretty much right here. Everywhere else is solid, obviously, besides where it's curling up there. But even up here is solid. So we've got plywood to do that. We might even do that this weekend. I don't know what Dad was thinking, but supposedly the seats just come right out. They do fold down into a tanning bed thingamabob. To an extent, they fold down to a tanning thingy-mabob or whatever you want to lay down for. So, but we're gonna have to figure out how to get the seat back from the steering wheel, because I hate being that close to a steering wheel. I don't care what I'm in. It's like driving a go-kart. I mean, getting in underneath there. I mean, apparently most people kneel or whatever while they drive, but I might just want to sit. I don't know, but I definitely want more room between me and the steering wheel. So. Especially when you're sitting there, so you got to have your arm like crutched all the way back against you or past your body, your elbow, in order to frickin' drive the dang on thing. So, but whatever. Anyway, so yeah, I'm thinking right off the bat, I've got a head unit singled in the shed here. Just get a couple of marine speakers, just do a quick wire up job on that. We'll have to get a marine deep cycle battery, but I've got a big, kind of like a big truck battery, just about, not a semi battery, but it's 1,000 cranking amp battery. I don't know, use that for now. I don't think any of the electronics in here work with the like the finder thing there, or I don't know about the gauge there. I hope that works. But the choke works. I don't know how that works yet. I haven't figured that out. But I could hear it click, and he was playing with it, and he's like, "Oh, choke works," and I'm like, "Okay, well that's good." So I don't know. I'll have to play with it. My first boat, Dad's first experience with a boat, so you know we're gonna learn some things, and obviously first thing is making sure. Well, I suppose I should talk about the main problem with the boat. I'm gonna keep coming back to the engine here. So the engine was supposedly rebuilt. Now you're gonna take that for what it's worth here in about a second. He supposedly reused the old head gasket. So, and the kid's like, yeah, he's like the best mechanic I know. And it's like, well, a best mechanic wouldn't reuse a head gasket. I don't care in what situation you're in. You don't reuse an old head gasket. So we did fire it up. Like I said, we did hear it run for upwards of a minute. It did sound good. We did have muffs on it. Well, we were bottle feeding it water through muffs too. So I didn't see any water come shooting out of the little spitter here, but I was looking for it. So, but you know, if that rubber impeller's been sitting for quite a few years, then it's probably got a memory, and I heard that that's not good for it to be, the fins to be folded over. So it's probably going to need a water pump anyway, or a water impeller, whatever. It's not the end of the world, and hopefully we can just slap a head gasket on this thing. I'll obviously check out what the cylinders look like at that point too. But so biggest thing right now, steering. The biggest things, I should say, the steering, the trim, and head gasket and water pump, and hopefully that will take care of any issues we have. Now, I don't know how you monitor temperature on this thing, how you know when it's getting hot, because there's only one gauge in this entire thing, and it's speed. So that's gonna be kind of interesting. Yeah, that kind of worries me a little bit. And I don't know how they measure temperature on these motors to begin with, because you can't really go by water temperature, right? Because you're constantly sucking up cold water from the lake. So it's got to be like a head temperature sensor or something. But even then, I don't know if there's any safeguards in place that will shut down if it gets too hot or what. But so I've got some learning to do, just put it that way. But I guess before I call this video a wrap, I'll show you my hard work of trailer lights. It's not my first time, no, it's my second time doing trailer lights, and I really don't care for it too much. But fancy schmancy, even fancier. Ooh. But they work, so that's always a bonus. But they don't look terribly bright up here. It's like you look more at them, and then there's a bright spot. But it had big square lights. I think they're in the truck here. They were at one point. Don't ask me right now. But anyway, oh, they're there. They had big square lights. Obviously, that one's broken. The other one's not too bad, but just kind of ugly looking. But I wanted something slim line. I had to make the bracket because these were a lot longer than the square ones, so I had to make a new bracket, which I had. Pretty much the same exact thickness and width and whatever steel, so I just cut it longer. And these ones for the ground, they didn't have a ground wire, it just had a power wire. It had a ground tab, so when you screwed the bracket to the boat, that was going to be your ground through the screw. It just had a metal tab that the face of the screw would press against, and then the screw would act as the ground. But what I did was use an eyelet. I guess I could show you. I should have a spare one here. I don't keep large stocks of connectors as much as I probably should here. I use these guys. I ended up cutting the yellow jacket off after crimping it because, you know, it sits way up in there, and the yellow ended up sticking way down past the base. I ended up bending this 90 degrees so it went up inside the bracket and it went over on top of that tab. And then I cut the jacket off so that way when this was sticking down, it wasn't sticking down below the bracket. And then the wire did another 90 degrees apart from the connector and or the ring or whatever. And that wire ran to the ground wire I had running into the frame. So all should be well now. So I'm pretty happy. It's a good price. It's really good price for the boat. I mean, I couldn't find a boat this price that had a running engine or had an engine at all or that had an interior at all. I mean, so I got a screaming deal for a boat that runs, hopefully floats, and I mean, I don't see why not. That's my thing, I guess. But yeah, we should have a running, floating boat. Be scooting along. And even came with the top, which after, you know, how many years? Let's see. 95 would be 26. So you do 85, it'd be 36. So a boat that's 37 years old, it still has some factory features. So, but apparently I'm the third owner of this boat, so it just is what it is. So it's not really a huge interesting factor, but yeah, so underside of the boat looks pretty good. It's got some chips on the very front, of course, not the end of the world. Apparently it's common. So, but the whole underside otherwise looks pretty doggone good, I think. So overall, I'm happy with the purchase. I'm gonna try and buff out. I don't know if the color will come back by buffing it or if it's just faded that much and there's nothing to do to save it or what, but yeah. If I were to name this boat, I'd probably name it Butt. And from a specific animated movie, you might know why I'd call it Butt. But anyway, so I hope you guys enjoyed the tour of the newest addition to my fleet, if you want to call it that. So it is something new to me, and just hopefully get some good years out of it. And obviously, you know me, I try to fix it so I don't have issues going down the road, going down the water now. So hopefully we'll keep her in tip-top shape, and little by little we'll have this thing looking mint. So stay tuned for a slow going restoration. Hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for watching. God bless.